Welcome back to the Donkey Vote Political Podcast. Today we are joined, we've had a couple interviews today already. We're joined with two lesser politicians, Renee and especially Joe McCraken.
Yeah, that's right.
Renee and Joe, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm not saying thank you at all.
If you could briefly both tell us a little bit about yourself before we start the interview, because I'm assuming, especially for Joe, not many people online would know who they are, who would
Thanks,
know
Jamie.
who you are.
Oh, whatever your name is. You go first, Renee. Ladies first.
Well, I'm a first-term politician, so is Joe actually.
I'll speak for myself.
Yeah, and I guess we might talk about this later, but before I was a politician, I was a chiropractor. And I covered the Eastern Victoria region in the upper house, so it's about 20% of Victoria, so it's a huge area.
And me, so what haven't I done? Well, no, so first term MP, Western Victoria as well. I live in Ballarat. I was born in Ballarat, and I started my life out as a baby, as everyone does.
I hope you're ready for some really bad.
Fair.
Buckle up. Yeah.
It's going to be worse than the Nick McGowan interview.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. On par at least.
So working life, my parents ran a pub when I was growing up, so I worked in that for
I can tell you had a lot of alcohol when you were young.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's impacted me. So worked in a pub, and then I went to university in Ballarat. I did double degree of commerce and management, and in those degrees I did double majors for each of them as well. So I did law and accounting in my commerce degree, and then marketing and then management in my management degree. So that was like HR and all that sort of thing. So after that, I went and worked as an accountant. I did a couple of different firms in Ballarat, but it just got too exciting for me. I couldn't deal with the numbers, they're just getting me. So I went back to university, and back in those days, you could do a dip ed. It was a 1-year dip ed, and I became a teacher. And I spent the next 10 years after that working down in a little place called Colac in the southwest. Lovely, awesome place. And then about 2016, I ran for council, and I got elected. I didn't really know how well I'd go because, in country towns, you sort of got to be born and bred there for 30 years before you consider local. But I taught half the district's kids, so I ran, got elected, served as mayor and deputy mayor a couple of years after that. Then 2020, ran again, got re-elected, and then, got elected to state parliament. So that's the short version.
Which wasn't that short.
No, I know.
We're like half the interview
Yeah, that's
already.
right.
Oh dear, it's all about that.
All right then, so we'll now get into the questions actually. This is a question for both of you. How was your high school and university life, and do you have any memorable moments? We'll start with Renee.
Yeah, well, high school was a really long time ago.
Ages.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm younger than her. So.
Yeah, that's right. But university I absolutely loved. I did chiropractic at university, so that's a double degree in health science and then applied science in chiropractic. And that was fantastic. Like, there was less than 200 students.
Really?
And because of that, it was really great. Everyone was friends.
You're learning things as well, right?
Yeah,
No.
that's right. Because of that, it was just super. Yeah, it was a great experience. Really loved it.
What university?
RMIT. Yeah, that was an RMIT in Bundoora because it's the only place in the state that offered the chiropractic program. So
as like a Pacific degree.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, absolutely loved it.
I believe my brother's also applied for that course as well.
Really?
He did it under, I think it was sports science or something like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And is he going to do chiropractic?
He wants to do something in sports science, so.
Is he doing it like around chiropractic?
He's doing the course that says.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I went to a high school called St Patrick's in Ballarat. Have you heard St Patrick's College?
We compete, we're in the same competition.
Exactly.
Oh, there we go.
ACC, mate.
Yeah, it's a big footy school, and then I went to it was called UB, University of Ballarat, but now it's called Federation University or FU.
Yeah, you'll find yourself just shaking your head a lot.
Don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my university. Oh, you want a memorable moment?
What's a memorable moment?
Memorable moment.
Oh,
Okay.
God, some I can't remember.
Is that because you had some
'Cause it was
blackouts
memorable.
or?
Well, I wouldn't say blackouts in terms of energy policy, but, you know, maybe liquor regulation could have been another issue. I don't know. Oh, God, I try to think. I had so many different things. I did get kicked out of a bar one night.
How old were you then?
Oh, 16. No, I'm kidding. It's my own pub, no. Geez, I don't know. I had heavy different moments.
I actually reckon I think my most memorable moment was actually when I found out I got into chiropractic. I've just been thinking it then. I was on holidays in Malaysia and I was too scared to open my emails, and then I had the letter of offer and I was like, yes, because I really wanted to do chiro.
Yeah.
So that was memorable.
That's a good memorable moment.
Yeah.
Better than Joe's.
Yeah, that's right. Which is a forgettable moment. Yeah.
I would rather forget. Yeah, no.
All right. We'll get now to the next question. And I think this is directly actually to Joe.
Oh,
So-
God.
In your intro speech, you talk about your previous careers before politics, teaching. How was the transition from teaching in the classroom to being in a chamber debating legislation, and guessing there is a similar amount of banter?
It's a good question, actually. Some things in teaching are very similar because you're dealing with a lot of people that fight each other.
Oh.
Different ideas, I guess.
I used to teach politics.
Ah.
And so in a
Really
classroom, I had people that were very left-wing, some very right-wing, and to bring that all together and focus on learning the structure or the systems or a global environment was very difficult. But I actually really encourage people to talk to each other and have debate, because if you don't have it to someone's face, there's no point festering it behind closed doors. You have to have the debate, because you remember that it's not personal. Should always play the ball, not the person. Number one rule. And Renee and I have talked about this quite a lot, is that it should always be about the issue, not about the person.
Battle of ideas.
Yeah, the battle of ideas. So I guess that was one thing that I found that was really common, but as I should say, had in common with teaching. But I guess one of the things that's different about this job is that in teaching you have a timetable, you know what you're doing every day. In this job, you just don't. Even when you're in Parliament, you think something's going to go a certain way and it falls on its head. So, yeah, there's two things, yeah.
Not a bad answer. Not bad.
I think you'll
What's
find
his
it was
mark?
11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe take away 1-1.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
It's very depressing, young people.
It's so good to meet somebody that roasts Joe.
I've actually been waiting for it all my life for this.
I've got to enter Parliament now, so I can do this every day.
Good luck.
Exactly.
Which
yeah.
party? Oh,
I was already invited to join the Nationals, apparently.
There you go.
But,
Nah.
but I don't know how.
I've got a better offer.
Yeah,
But I don't know how I'm going to join them, because I live in Point Cook. There's like no farms nearby.
We've got you. I've got you.
Yeah,
I'll
we've
get a
got
form
you.
in my
Yeah.
office. I'll give it to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How much are you going to pay me?
Oh, well, this is called branch stacking. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Renee's already bribed with coke.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. We'll now get on to the next question. George, I think you have this one. It's the second one from Renee's. This is very, very
Last minute.
No, doing well.
Can you talk about your career being a health professional prior to Parliament?
Yeah. So I was a chiropractor before I came in here. Actually, if we skip back, before I even was a chiropractor, I worked in health policy. So I wrote policies for kindergartens and schools around their nutrition and around dental things like that. And then I became a myotherapist, then I became a chiropractor.
Wow.
And I absolutely loved it, honestly. It was probably the biggest dream in my life was to be a chiropractor. I never thought I'd ever in my wildest dreams do it. And I honestly loved coming to work every single day. And it's an amazing job because I think in a lot of areas of health, the people you're helping don't necessarily get better. But in chiropractic, they really do. Like, we really helped people come in with a lot of pain and got them out of that to a place where they were really thriving. So yeah, I absolutely loved my career in health, and it's something that I was actually very sad to leave. Yeah.
And yet you cause so much pain to me.
Yeah, that's right.
You haven't let me get out of it.
Likewise.
I mean, you could ask for a free chiropractic session.
She actually has done that before.
Yeah.
Oh.
She snapped my neck once.
Adjusted is the language, please.
Whatever.
But there's a lot of stress headaches in here, so I often there wouldn't be a sitting week where I don't adjust.
But
people.
seriously though, it's like it's like magic hands. It's just like, I'm like,
It
oh,
is
my
magic.
neck's floating.
And
It's amazing.
Toby likes to practice it on
No,
himself.
Oh, does he?
No.
There
So
you go.
often. Every 5 minutes in school. Just
No.
Adjust your own neck.
No,
too.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk offline.
You're gonna have the right technique to.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I walk safe methods on YouTube, okay?
Oh.
Okay.
Bull dust.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
just joking.
I'm going to see this written in the coroner's report
Yeah,
someday.
that's right. Yeah. Professional.
How long did you actually work as a chiropractor for?
I graduated in 2017. So how many years was that? And then I finished in 2022. So not that long.
5
yeah.
years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Are we a little bit less than what Joe did in teaching? Or-
Yeah.
How long did I do?
Oh, let's have a think here.
Yeah, let's have a really hard think about this.
9-10 years in teaching.
Oh.
How many?
9, 10, not
Nine.
19.
Oh, I thought you said 9.
No.
Holy hell, I'm the Gen X. No.
You became a teacher when you were like 17 years old.
Yeah.
No, I did 10 years. 10 years
Yeah.
teaching, a decade.
I got it.
Yeah. you
Nearly,
did.
yeah.
I didn't know that actually. So
No, you did very well.
Yeah.
I'm 35, so, 25 or 24, but yeah, 25 when I started. So, plus a couple of years in accounting,
yeah.
So 10 years. It was good 10 years too.
Me
But
and
you
Greg-
guys are still in school. You must,
We
obviously.
just finished.
we finished year 12.
We just finished.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Of course, you did say that too. But, your school experience is even changed so much in the last 10 years from when
Yeah.
I first started teaching. Like, technology is such a big part of it now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially during COVID.
Yeah,
That would have been
absolutely.
awful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the start was okay, but then at the end it got pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's actually how we started doing the interviews though.
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
of COVID.
Yeah.
Because we at the end of year 9 we had a humanities project, me and George, and we focused on politicians' policies during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh
and
wow, I'd love to
So-
hear your thoughts on that.
yeah, we tried to get a lot of interviews. I think Michael O'Brien, when he was opposition leader, he wrote back to me, but
Yeah.
I emailed him a bit too late, and he was like, I can't really help you out with that.
Yeah.
So I think I got replies from like Cliff. Do you remember Clifford Hayes,
Yeah, it was
Sustainable Australia,
yeah.
and Fiona Padden as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
Running the risk of derailing your
Yeah.
podcast, but what are you gonna do next year then? Now that you finish school?
actually very similar to Joe. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do hopefully commerce,
Oh great,
We're
awesome.
at Monash or at
Monash or Melbourne, hopefully.
they're the best
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fabulous.
Good
I'm
on you.
planning to do information and technology at RMIT
Oh,
with
good.
hopefully minors of cybersecurity.
Wow, amazing. Go RMIT. And what do
I'm
you?
doing business IT at Monash.
Wow.
Oh, so you two will be
fabulous.
together then,
Yeah,
hopefully.
hopefully.
That's
Just
so
some
good.
subjects, yeah, and then
Yeah.
And what about cameraman?
I'm planning to do game development and design at AIE,
Oh
which
wow.
is they actually opened a bachelor course for a degree, so fun to do that.
Well,
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's not us, so it's alright. But
so
it's
let's
Yeah.
go back there now, Joe.
Well, see, that's called a green light, so that's for the lower house.
So
If the red light comes on, that's us. And we'll have to run to the chamber. So you hear those, that's what I mean, it's a bit like school. You hear them going, oh no, I gotta run. And it's
I mean,
four
I mean,
minutes you get.
I think Richard right now will probably be waiting for us, but
Well, we can.
Richard's got to go.
we can
He's got to go to
probably-
the chamber. Bad luck for Richard.
We'll see if Richard's up.
Yeah.
Meetings. Oh, which number is Richard?
Up.
Oh, maybe
Two
it's-
up.
Is it actually?
Yeah. No, you're going up again.
Oh.
Here,
No,
give me
okay.
this, my friend.
I can see why you're
Yeah.
why you're the younger one, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. How did you know that with the looks?
See, there's the assembly
Enjoy
there.
it.
So
There
they'll
we go.
all start to file in now.
So Richard's not actually in there yet.
So he's looking for us, right?
That's alright.
Yeah, we better try
Push
and
on?
push on. The next question, I think you have it, Tobias. Yeah, certainly. And this is for all of you, both of you as well. Yeah. Third one.
Okay. Okay. What made you run in the 2022 state election and join the Liberal Party?
Would you like to go first, or do you want me
Yeah,
to?
I'm with either or.
You ladies
Yeah.
first.
So I guess what made me join the Liberal Party, I never had any interest in politics whatsoever. In fact, when anyone would ever talk about politics, I used to just go and look after my nephews and, just thought I couldn't care less. But I'm a big reader, so as you can see, I love to read. And when I was at uni, I just was reading heaps of political biographies, and I decided I'm a Menzies liberal. And the reason I decided I was a liberal was because I really believe in free enterprise, in freedoms in general, in reward for effort, in small government, things like that. But it wasn't until so I became a member, but it wasn't until I was actually working overseas that I really thought, wow, this is why liberalism is important. And that was my best friend and I. We started with some other people, started a little orphanage in the Philippines, which took some kids, not all of them, but some had come out of sex slavery. It was quite horrific. But what really made me realise that liberalism is important is I believe that we've got to put people's decisions back in their own hands. And I think that it's oppressive whether or not somebody is being told what to do and how to live by somebody horrible, like some of those girls were, or if it's an overbearing government that restricts how much money you're allowed to earn, tells you what you're allowed to do with it. I think that's really, I don't think that's the marks of a free society. So that is what really sparked my passion for the Liberal Party and for liberalism. And I guess the reason is I do believe in the ability to create wealth, because if you've only just got enough for just you can't do anything to help other people. And we see that there's sometimes a romanticised idea around socialism and other methods, I guess, of government.
Mm-hmm.
But what we notice in all of those is the people suffer because they don't have enough to even help themselves. So there's no way they can extend an arm and help the less fortunate.
It's like that saying, if you can't help yourself, you can't help someone else.
Exactly, yeah, I think it's 100% true. So that is why I really am passionate about liberalism, why I love the Liberal Party, and why I ran in the election. Well, I guess it was because I think that we need more young people, particularly young women, who can communicate well what liberalism is. I think sometimes the way people describe the Liberal Party is completely wrong. I think that sometimes it looks outdated. It might look like it's not compassionate, but in reality, it is more relevant today, even more so than it has been in the decades prior. And I think that we've got to have people that are able to communicate that message to show if you are a compassionate person, if you care about other people, I think you should be voting Liberal. That's why I ran. Yeah.
Also, just quickly to talk on that as well, because with that orphanage you said in the Philippines, I'm actually half Filipino.
Are you?
Yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah.
How cool's that? Chiago Island.
Is that, what?
It's, well, I could Google it for you. It's
Yeah.
the most amazing, it's the most beautiful island, or Chiago or something.
Is that in, do you know what region that's in?
I wouldn't have a clue. I just hopped on a plane and I went there.
Pacific region.
Yeah, that's right.
Shut.
Southeast.
Yeah. How do you spell it actually?
SIA.
Yep.
RG. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay.
And the reason, actually, considering then you're interested in the Philippines, the
Yeah.
reason we chose that at the time was because we'd found out, my friend and I, we were raising a lot of money. We wanted to do something to
How
help
much money
someone.
did you raise?
I cannot remember how much it was, but it was a substantial amount. Like we were in our early 20s, sort of
It's a
really
long
early.
time
Yeah, it was
ago.
a while ago. But what we were doing, we were looking through and seeing, well, where can we afford to do something? And this particular area at the time was the terrorist capital of the Philippines and the sex trade capital. And we thought, well, let's go and see if we can make a difference in the worst possible place. And we did. And I just think, so I think it was cool.
Yeah. That's like.
Where are you from then?
My mum is originally from Tarloc, so
Okay.
that's about. It's still in the main island of Luzon, so it's like the like
There you
2
go.
hours away from
Okay.
Manila.
Yeah.
We're actually going back in January.
Oh,
so-
awesome. That's
cool.
fabulous. Oh, good on
So-
you.
Yeah, because we sometimes do community service there as well. So, a lot of, because where our family's from in the main like barrio town,
Yeah.
like Magaspak, where my mum's from, it's pretty rough there. A lot of the kids there, they live pretty rough lives. It's
I
really,
couldn't believe how
yeah.
sad it was. We've
Yeah.
done some work similar in China, and we could help kids make money because there were other people to run business with. But what I found in the Philippines is it was so poor
yeah.
that even setting up businesses, there weren't people in the towns to actually buy, whatever it was, their food or their products. And I think that's why the economy is very important, and making sure we can encourage business freedom and those things.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Joe,
I was just bored. No,
Bored of
I'm
teaching?
kidding.
Mm.
No, so I joined the Liberal Party when I was a teenager, and for me, like, I was always drawn to politics. So my grandmother was a local government councillor, and I spent a lot of time with her when I was younger. She was a big influence on me and my life and how I viewed things, and I guess I always remember just thinking, like, your life must matter.
Yeah.
It's got to make a difference, and you only get so many years in this life, and make them count. So I thought the biggest way to make it count is to not just be about yourself, about helping others. And that's also part of the reason I left accounting, because I thought, well, I'm sick of making rich people richer. I want to use my skills for another way. What did you say? And so that was one of the main reasons. And so, I mean, for me, Liberal Party values are really important. I remember as a kid, I used to hate being told what to do. I used to like to do my own thing, and I'm like, I don't want to go and do that. Oh, you've got to do this. I said, no. I was really adamant, and McCracken's a Scottish name, so we're all stubborn. But on a more serious note, my parents ran a small business. They were a bit of my formative years. I remember having to work my absolute guts out in the kitchen as a dish pig, scrubbing things. And I thought, you work hard to build a life for yourself. And it really used to annoy me when the government would just come along and, oh yeah, we'll take that amount of tax. You don't get anything for it, really.
Yeah.
They just take it. And I thought, this is hard-earned money. You want to at least know that if the government are going to take your tax, make sure it's getting value for money. And in my view, that it wasn't getting value for money at all. So anyway, through university and all that sort of thing, I didn't really get part of the Young Liberals because I was in country Victoria and there weren't really...
National Party there.
No, there wasn't even National Party there. There were Young Liberals in the city, but they were very city-based and they weren't sort of my sort of people, really. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but they're just very city people.
Mm.
Whereas, I like to have a joke and a laugh.
They probably just didn't like your jokes.
Yeah.
Probably right.
He applied for Labour first.
No, I'm not Malcolm Turnbull.
Yeah, that's right.
No, and so then obviously ran for council. Things weren't going so well there, so I thought, I can make a difference and have an impact. So I tried to anyway. And then this came up, so I thought, it's always one of those things where you can sit on the sidelines, criticise and moan and say, look, things are so bad, but I'm not going to do anything about it. So instead of just sitting on the couch moaning at the telly, I thought, no, I'm actually going to have a crack at this and put your money where your mouth is. And if you don't, and if I have a go and lose, well, at least I've had a go.
Yeah.
But you don't get anywhere doing nothing. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try, and if I get there, I do, and if I get 4 years here, well, that's 4 years that I can try and make a difference.
Yeah.
Life is short. You might only have one term here, but in that one term,
You gotta
Make
make
a
the most of it.
difference, yeah.
make absolutely the most of it. People try and have, 15, 20, 30 years in this place. It doesn't mean they're effective politicians. It means they're effective at blocking other people. So, I don't want to be here until I'm 70.
Like some other people here.
I mean, but having said that though, there are some people that are still effective. But I don't think age or anything is the determining factor, or how long you've been here is a determining factor of how effective you can be. It's about outcomes.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I hate it when, you know, I see it in the media all the time, you know, it's, things aren't outcome based anymore. You know, I see it in government all the time. They talk about, oh, well, we're doing this and we're doing that. It's not actually doing anything. We're talking to people. And look, you've got to consult with people, but unless it results in some sort of meaningful action, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of anything if nothing actually happens from it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been on a rant there. I can't help it. I get really like...
You get too political.
Yeah.
And that's why you're a politician.
I just get really like, oh my God.
All right.
I need food? No, I can.
There's food right
Well,
here.
that's why you're here.
Yeah.
It's tempting, isn't it?
Yeah, I
I've
know.
had
Stop it.
I've had about 4, so chips look good too.
All right, we'll get now on to the next question. This is for you, Joe.
Ooh.
Do you think schools should teach and focus more towards mental health?
You know, it's funny. I had some young people in Ballarat actually contact me about this a few months ago now. And one of the ideas that we came up with is that as part of teacher training, and there's these whole different mandated things that a teacher has to go through every year to certify their registration, that one of those registrations should be mental health. Much like you have to do a first aid training course and you have to get it refreshed full refresh every 3 years and an interim one every year in between, you could do a similar thing with mental health. And, you know, that could be something that could be explored. The only thing that sort of puts me against that is that the more teachers take on, the less parents have to take on. And I'm a big believer that a family should be really quite involved in their young person's, the son or daughter's education. And I've seen it in my own experience where sometimes parents will just drop off their kid at school and say, well, you teach them manners, you teach them values. And I'm thinking to myself, no, that's your job, not mine. So the only fear I have is that if we do that sort of thing, it just facilitates the outsourcing of parenting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess that's not a clear answer, is it?
No,
It's a
I
bit
think
50-50 each way.
You're a true politician.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll now get on to another question. I think this is for Renee. George, it's the fourth one.
So, what are your priorities for the next 3 years as a member of the Eastern Victorian region in the Victorian Legislative Council, for example, in health or education?
Okay, yeah. So I think there'd be a whole stack, but if I were to sort of put it down to 3 things right now that are always on the forefront of my mind. The first one would be industry in the Eastern Victoria region. I don't know how tuned into politics you are, but since the biggest it was 2 of the biggest employers in my region were the power industry, which has been shut down virtually, and it's just all the legislation's made that very hard. Thousands and thousands of jobs have been lost. And the next one is the timber industry, which wasn't meant to close until 2030. By the way, I don't think it should be closing at all, but the government brought it forward and is shutting it as of the 1st of January next year.
That's sustainable timber.
Yeah, exactly. It's timber that is sustainably sourced, sustainably harvested, replanted. It's good for the environment, and they shut it down. So my first priority, I'm not going to cry there. I don't know what happened to my voice. My first priority.
I do that to
would
Sorry.
My first priority would be jobs in the region and making sure that I'm fighting for those and making sure that people in the region are put first. So shortly, I'm going to go speak in the chamber and I'm going to be talking about farming, because that's another area that I think the government will potentially try to come after and over, try to control it and stifle it, and I don't want that to happen. The second thing that I would love to see change soon is changes to the stalking laws. I've been talking about that a lot in Parliament.
Don't point at me.
I was pointing at the chamber. I've been talking a lot about that recently. That big blue folder there on the side, that's a report that was done by the Law Reform Commission, and in that there's 45 recommendations to strengthen our laws. I think that needs to be done straight away. And then the third area, which I'm probably most passionate about, and you mentioned it, is education. I think that we need to make sure that our education system is world class and that it is putting students at the cutting edge, globally, making sure that we are absolutely at the front, making sure that our kids are getting taught the best possible education. Sadly, at the moment, that's not happening in Australia. In fact, the average 15-year-old is about 3 years behind the average 15-year-old Singaporean in maths, and in other areas it's about a year. So I really think that we should be seeing some major strengthening of our curriculum and making sure that we give our young people the very best start at life. That's what I think.
Yeah, just to that point as well with Singaporean students. I think to an extent though, you need to have the balance between school and social life, because a lot of your Asian countries like Korea, South Korea, Singapore, China, even to an extent, they don't have a social life there. It's just, I know in South Korea they have their schooling from 8 a.m. 5 p.m. Then from 5 p.m. they have tutoring till 10. They go home, they sleep, and they just do it every single day.
Yeah,
for the whole week.
Sounds like it would kill you, wouldn't
Yeah, and I mean they get the higher results, but is it really worth
Quality
it at
of
that
life,
point?
perhaps.
Well,
Yeah.
I think education is worth it. I think education is absolutely the ticket out of poverty for people. It keeps us, it's the ability to be competitive. It's the ability to be competitive, but I don't think you need necessarily.
No,
Yeah.
you
You've
touched it, you ate
touched
it. I gotcha.
I don't think you necessarily have to work harder, but we should be doing things that are evidence-based. So there are clear ways of teaching reading and math and things like this that are better than what we're doing now, and that needs to be the first place. I don't think an election winning policy would be to make sure kids are at school from 8 in the morning till 5 at night.
I mean the kids aren't voting, so
Well, the parents
will.
might vote for it.
Also with the teaching, I feel like a lot of people now, they need to be also having tests on them for special needs, such as myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm also under that category.
Mm.
It makes it a lot harder for students, and schools aren't typically pushing it. Like for me, I had to kind of force my way into it.
Yeah. Do you know, on that was one of the things that really sparked my interest in education. There was this boy who I used to help, like, sort of tutor in a sense. Every second Wednesday I'd catch up with him, and he had a disability that was never picked up. And because of that, he thought he was stupid because he didn't know how to read, he didn't know how to write. He wasn't. He just needed extra help. He's actually brilliant. And so he was 15, and week after week I was sitting down with a 15-year-old saying, oh, like, this is A, this sounds A, going through all the different sounds. No one had done that with him. And when he learnt that, he needed that extra care. He needed hours and hours of help. Once he got it, his confidence was just outstanding. And I think this is the importance of getting education right, because the fact is it's not one size fits all. And just because the way you're being taught, you might not be grasping it, it doesn't make you silly. It means that you need it done a different way. And I really believe that teachers are so under-resourced, they don't have the time. Where, imagine, I don't know what your schooling experience was like, but you may have struggled in some areas. Imagine if you had the ability to have somebody to teach you a better way that gave you those baselines and you didn't always feel inadequate or behind. I think it would make probably a major impact on people's lives.
It would just make life easier also
Yeah,
for the students.
I think so, yeah.
Can I
And
just-
the teachers, I think.
I don't want to interrupt.
No, I think as well, because like if you're not really engaged in school, if you're feeling disconnected or unable to do things, I think you're going to lose that interest, and which would make the classroom a pretty difficult place. Yeah.
I was just going to say, and I say this with all respect, but I hate this idea of special needs.
Yeah.
Like, with that word comes such a stigma. Why don't we just call it different needs?
Yeah, it's a bit
Like, if
Yeah.
I've taught kids, for example, with autism, And I don't treat them any differently to what I would someone who doesn't have autism. They just have different needs. So what?
And also,
Like-
it's
sorry.
what makes people special as well. Like, it's what makes people them is the difference. And I think that the school system at the moment, it's not really establishing those building blocks well in the earlier years. So if you're already maybe a bit vulnerable to struggling, that's going to make life harder the quicker that things move on. So that's why I honestly think that one of the biggest changes that we could make that would honestly impact people's lives so much would be improving education, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, in different ways though. Like, I actually think for people probably more closer to your age, you guys know that how there was a VC and a VCAL. The VCAL's now been changed.
VCM.
Yeah, I actually think that a lot of different things, but I am a big believer in the apprenticeship model, but I don't just mean for a trade. A lot of people go and do a school-based apprenticeship and it's to be, you know, a mechanic or to be a sparky or whatever, but why can't you have an apprenticeship to be a nurse or to be a lawyer or an accountant? Like, some people learn better with their hands, and I say with their hands, but I mean on the job. I don't know why we have to have some particular professions that are structured a particular way when it shouldn't be structured around the profession, it should be structured around the person. And that really just irks me. And I would love to completely reform the education agenda with Renee so that we could have a focus on real skills that come out of school rather than, for example, if you want to go into, I don't know, something like doing the arts, for example, you're probably not going to need maths as much. Like algebra. I haven't used algebra since I was in year 10. But some jobs like engineering, you need it. And I think perhaps in high schools, you could almost have a system which is like university in the sense that you don't get to the next grade until you've gone from the one beforehand. So it's a progressive sort of thing. And if you're not particularly interested in a skill set or an area, don't go there. Go for the one that you enjoy or you love or you're good at. And that might lead to a particular career pathway that suits you. Just because English is on the curriculum, I mean, yeah, we're an English-speaking country, you need that. But maths, for example, or, you know, sciences. I never did science at high school, really. I hated it. But that was me. You guys are all very different to that. So it should be about the individual and what suits them, not what hole that individual fits into, what bucket they fit into. Rant over.
Yeah, we'll go on now to the next question, but this...
Sorry.
Oh, is that on now, by the
We've
way?
got 9 minutes of footage left.
Yeah, you're last.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. So I'm just might flick it to that. Up?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure
Evan Mullihan's.
Yeah.
Where's he on the speaking list?
I'll just check that he's first, so we've got
Yeah, we've got plenty of time.
Yeah. So you already touched on this actually just before. So, I mean, we'll ask it still.
Yeah.
From your personal experiences, what do you like and dislike about the current education system?
Oh.
Whoa. Good question.
What do I like and I dislike? There's probably a lot more that I dislike than I like, actually. So I've looked at...
Go for it.
Don't let me look at them.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I better have...
some of the research that I've looked at, teacher quality is by far one of the biggest factors that impacts the quality of the classroom. So teacher quality, and my God, I've seen some pretty average teachers. I bet you guys might have seen some pretty average teachers as well.
Oh yeah.
And you think, sometimes people choose a class for the teacher. Now, that doesn't always happen. But you think, you know, I'm going to go to Miss Heath's class because she's a really cool teacher and she's passionate about what she teaches. I've been in that exact same boat as a student, and I've seen it with other colleagues and former colleagues as well. But I've seen young people like yourselves not choosing a class because of the teacher. And I think teachers have such a profound impact on a young person in their formative years. We've got to make sure that they're sufficiently, not even sufficiently, expertly equipped to help mould that young person in the right direction. Teachers should not be imparting political views, mind you. I never did that. I taught kids how to think, not what to think. You got to give kids the skills to critically analyse, to be creative, to be able to deconstruct something and try and pick it apart and understand it, rather than just saying, you know, blue is good, red is bad, or vice versa. It's such a basic thing that teachers do such a disservice. I guess one of the other things is that I think, you guys might not like this, but I don't think mobile phones in schools are a good thing.
Yeah, they banned it at our school.
Yeah, they
Did
got
they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
You
do.
survived.
And
Just.
they only banned it actually in term 2 of this year.
how did you find the transition?
Honestly, it wasn't too bad for me because I always left my phone in my locker at school.
And that's what I would encourage. Like you need it after school, like if someone's going to pick you up from school or whatever, or if you're getting to school or whatever. But during school, like it's not needed. And I've seen some pretty horrible instances where, you know, people have been on Snapchat and they film things and it's got, you know, it's like it's been sent around. And
that part I feel like is extreme, but like for my case, because I did art, I
Yeah.
kind of needed to take photos, and I put it with a physical thing, and they didn't allow me to actually use it.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a
I would
problem.
consider that a bit different though, because
Yeah.
if you need to, like it's for a particular purpose,
Yeah.
it's related with school, that's a bit different. But
yeah.
like if you were just like, oh, hey guys, I'm on Snapchat, lols.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I never did that. Like,
Yeah.
no, I would take that away from schools. I think there's a culture, and I don't know how you fix this one, of disrespect for teachers. I think part of it is that some teachers are not worthy of it, of real respect. Some are. And I don't say that to bag teachers out, because teachers do work really hard behind the scenes. You guys probably don't see a lot of the work that goes into some classes. Some work really hard, but some are just slackers. You can pick it straight away. You can walk into a class and, you know, this bloke's not prepared. He has not done a thing. Oh yeah, we'll just watch YouTube, or we'll just, like, are you serious? Like, we're just watching a documentary this class. Code for, I haven't prepared anything.
And then they're on their phone in the back of the classroom.
Well, see, I would never ever bring my phone into a class, because it was just like, I figured, you know, if I have that expectation for my students, why not for me?
Yeah, true.
If you can't walk the walk, don't talk the talk.
Exactly.
Anyway, that's a bit of a long rant. There's probably a heap of other things I could do as well, but
That's really funny.
Hey, Vivek?
Hey man, how are you?
You're Vivek?
Yeah.
There's a video of you out there. I didn't realize you have an accent. And I want to show you this. I just want to get your opinion on that.
Alright, let's see it.
No, Mom, I'm going to be first, but Trump is so way ahead. Way ahead, man. But I tell them I went to Harvard, I went to Yale, they look at me like, okay.
That's really funny.
Hey, Vivek?
Hey man, how are you?
You're Vivek?
Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy. Good to meet you.
Hi.
Good to meet
Hey,
you.
hey.
Yeah. What brings you to this part of town? Where are you from?
I'm like down the street actually.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what do you do?
I'm a student. I want to play basketball.
It's fantastic. So when you have, you can be a cornerback, you can be a wide receiver, it doesn't really matter. The great thing about a meritocracy is if you're really good, you're going to make millions of dollars. And if you're not, you're going to get cut from your team, probably not going to have any friends, probably not going to get any girls, but that's the great thing about capitalism, right? It's equality for all. And that's why on day one, we got to get rid of affirmative action. What'd you think, Vivek?
That guy's pretty good.
His actual Vivek voice is very good.
It's really good.
He
oh
sounds
my
like-
gosh, yeah.
That's-
So this
wait,
guy might have a
that's not you?
future career.
Is that not you?
I mean, I wish I was in my 20s. Maybe when they're looking for people to mock me on SNL, he'd be a pretty good. I think he'd be pretty good.
SNL
at
needs
it.
to hire.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, if you did a video with him and you brought him here, you'll...
Alright, so after a little short delay because of Joe's
Bad jokes.
bad jokes, we had to have a little brain break.
he needed it.
We're now back and we have a couple more questions to go. So Tobias, you have the next question.
Who
This is for both of you as well.
who would you say is your political role model?
You can go first this time.
Oh, I was going to say ladies first, but I can if you
Yeah,
want.
you go. I'll think about who mine is.
Well, as I sort of said in part one, my grandma is someone I looked up to unbelievably because she was one of the first female counsellors in Stawell, where she was a counsellor for. She took over from my grandfather, who was mayor of Stawell 4 times, and she used to do all the catering. So I'm thinking like 1950s, 60s, 70s. That sort of. She grew up in a time very, very different to now, like the Great Depression. Like she was 102 when she passed away. Like she had a pretty good innings. But she is so resilient. Like the things that we think about today, oh no, you missed the tomato sauce on my Big Mac. Oh, so sad. You know, she went through the Great Depression where they literally had to have hot fat on bread. You know, like it's dripping. You know, hot fat on bread is what they ate. You know, she worked as a seamstress. Like, what is even that these days?
What actually is a seamstress?
It's someone who makes clothes. Like, you sew the seams together.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what a seamstress is. So she had to make her own clothes. It is a totally different way of thinking. And so she was resourceful. She was careful with her money. She was, because she had to be. It was a necessity. And that thinking and that experience, I mean, she must have imparted some of it onto me because I'm trying to be careful with things. You know, I don't want to be wasteful. I hate seeing waste, unnecessary waste. This government's good at it.
Had to include that.
Yeah,
sorry. But yeah, I think she'll be one of my biggest political heroes. And I guess also too, when I was a young lad, 1996, John Howard swept into office for 11 years. I just remember like, wow, you know, it really felt at the time like this is change, good change. You know, things are going to be better. Interest rates aren't going to be at 18% anymore. We can actually survive. And it ended up being the start of a 25 plus year era, a golden era in politics of growth, probably almost in a way unprecedented in what we'd ever seen in Australia, because that era of growth hasn't really stopped since that time. So anyway, that's me.
Yeah. So who am I?
Political idol,
Right.
/ role model.
I think I haven't really
It's me.
got one. Yeah, no, McCraken. Famous. I don't think I've got one, but I love people that really are not afraid, and that people that are gonna make a real change for people's lives. So I guess William Wilberforce and Abraham Lincoln, I think they were just absolute champions of the human rights movement, really. And then another person who I've always thought, what an incredible person, is Corrie ten Boom. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She was a lady that her dad was a watchmaker, and during the World War, they hid Jews in their house, and she ended up going to a concentration camp, and because she was being punished for helping somebody that at that time the culture considered less. So I think that she ended up surviving it, and then just an amazing woman. But I like people like that are just going to push the boundaries, not necessarily listen to what
Not
the
for
culture.
themselves.
They're not for themselves, exactly. They live, their boundaries are further than their own lives. So that's the sort of people I like. I guess in terms of recent history, it was 1944, but I loved Robert Menzies. He started the Liberal Party. But people
that was the
have,
right answer.
Yeah, that's right.
You should have said that, Joe. Come on.
Yeah, I like people with courage.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll now move on to the final question. So, finally, what's one piece of advice you'd give to students in 2024, especially those entering university or high school?
You go first this time.
You don't have an answer, Joe?
I do. I've
we'll
just
give
been
them time
polite.
to think. I think work as hard as you can. I think sometimes, and I found this in my own life, I was scared to try new things because I thought, what if I work really, really hard and fail? And I think that's a boundary that all of us are capable of so much more than we think we are. And like I was talking about, I never thought I would even be a chiropractor. I thought that was so far out. And then once I just worked hard and actually did it, I did it. And I am really, really happy about that. So that would be one thing. I think just generally in life, make sure that you see the best in people, because our culture is one that's quite fickle. It'll tell you this type of person's cool one day and this person's evil one day, and then it'll switch it over. I think give people the benefit of the doubt. And I think if you look for the best in people, you'll get the best out of them. And I think the last piece of advice I would say is probably learn to forgive quickly.
I think this is the best day of the year because here at Parliament House, we are officially launching Christmas for the whole nation for 2023. Who loves Christmas? So when it comes to Christmas, it's not just about presents, it's also about thinking about people who need support. And that's what today is about. I know all my parliamentary colleagues are in the spirit of Christmas, particularly Senator Polly and Senator O'Neill, who are big devotees of Christmas, alongside the President and myself. But to the kids that are here today, you're going to light up one of the best trees in Australia. So thank you for joining us today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas season. Please dig deep and make sure you support these very worthwhile charities. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Speaker will do the count.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3.
So we're just going to finish off the final question. Joe, do you even remember what the question was?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It was a very interesting question about the philosophical challenges faced by the Tibetan monks in... No, I have no idea. What was it?
It was, what's one piece of advice you give to students in 2024, especially those who are entering university / high school?
I think the biggest thing is don't have any regrets. Have a crack. Even if you think you're not going to get anywhere, have a go. Because standing still, still water gets stale. Keep moving. Do things. Try things out. Doesn't matter if it's uncomfortable. You only expand your boundaries by pushing them. So don't just stay where you are. The other thing I'd say is, my grandmother always used to say this, is you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion. Listen. Don't just always be the first one to talk and I know, I'm a bad example of
experience.
that. But yeah, listen to people, try and understand them, be interested in people. Because what you see on the surface is very rarely what is actually deep underneath and the true nature of a person. Also say too, like in this current time that we live in, this society that we have, it worships youth and beauty. We hold youth and beauty up as things as to aspire to. In many other different cultures, they value age and wisdom, and often, associated. And I just think, being young and beautiful doesn't mean you're a good person. Doesn't mean that you make good decisions. Doesn't mean that you contribute to society. You might have a heap of Instagram followers, but so what? You can still be alone at night with no family, no friends, no real friends. And it's a fake existence. It's plastic. So think about that sort. I don't know, getting a bit deep and meaningful.
No, be as deep as possible.
But just be. I think, and I've noticed in politics too. Renee, we've talked about this a bit. Is that people are sick of plastic politicians?
Yeah, they are. They want to see the real deal.
Like we've seen people in Parliament, and they just get up and I'm just going to read this. It's reading the government lines that some other monkey in the works have given them. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, do you have an original thought? Or has someone just put it in your brain for you to regurgitate
Are you talking about someone specific?
No, not really. But you see it. And sometimes, particularly when Daniel Andrews was in power, and we've only been in that for a short time, but like he had such power and control over his underlings that they were too afraid to say anything other than what was conventional thought. But nowadays I think that people want to know that the people that are representing them in Parliament, federal, state, local, they're not robots. They're real, authentic, genuine people. Don't try and be something that you're not. But also, don't hide what you are.
Yeah,
I learned that
that's
one,
true.
very personal one, very publicly, as you guys probably well know. So it can take quite a lot of courage to do that, but at the same time, it'll pay dividends for the rest of your life. If you'll be able to sleep better, you'll have better quality of life. You'll grow into yourself. You know who you are, what you stand for, what you don't stand for, and you'll be a better person because of it.
Yeah, and I also think like everyone has a special gift and something special that they bring to the world. So don't try too hard to fit in. I think like sometimes there's a certain way things are going and you might think, oh, I want to be a bit different to that. Follow that thing that's inside your heart and make sure that you live authentically. And I think if you do that, you'll probably really make an impact.
And you know, so here's another one now.
Yeah.
We're full of like wise advices. You're going to see us in 10 years' time and it'll be what Joe said on a wall.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's that saying, don't sweat the small stuff. Everything is small stuff. So, you know, when you guys are old men, you're sitting around a table saying, oh, wasn't that funny 50 years ago? With those two politicians. You know, think of all the other things that are going to happen between now and that period of time. All the stresses and the anxieties, none of it will matter.
Yeah, that's true.
None of it will matter at all.
Yeah.
So, what really matters in life is how you treat people and how they feel from how you've been treated. And how will you be remembered? Is Renee going to be remembered as that really lovely person? Is Joe going to be remembered as that larrikin lout who can't put two words together? How do people remember you? So, yeah.
No, I think that's good.
Yeah. All right then. Those are all our questions.
Did we just talk for an hour and a half? Was that right?
I think you nearly, yeah.
We started at 4. On the
No, 3:15, wasn't it?
No,
a little bit after. Thank you again to Renee Heath and sadly Joe McCraken.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
You only came for the snacks. I can
That's
tell.
right.
The
And look
food.
at them. There's a lot of snacks. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise there was one more take, but you're allowed to go in. You know,
Yeah, so
come back.
Yeah, so thank you again to Joe and Renee for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks for having us too. It's actually been really good fun. You're really cool guys.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, and I can't wait to see what you'll have to pop back in a year and give us an update on your life.
Let's not
please.
make it that regular.
Just a regular
10 yearly.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see where you are in 10 years, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I could move into the Western Victorian region area.
You're welcome to.
Yeah.
Could campaign against you.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again for joining us. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next interview.